It's a really beautiful day in Brisbane today. I'm just out walking carnivore dog and just thinking I'll make it a day of doing today, just doing tasks and just keeping physically busy. And if I do get online or anything like that, I will be very careful with what I watch and absorb. So maybe just some podcasts and things. And I know a lot of you watch, you're interested in true crime as I am, and thought I'd tell you about Big Mad True Crime. So just look that one up because, we get big mad about true crime. And the lady that does that, she's done some really great talks and on was the way that I first came across her podcast was about Chris Watts, whom she despises as much as we do. So and so I was just thinking, I might listen to a bit of true crime, and then I can't remember who I made this comment on, whose channel it was, but just about Lori Lolo Vallow Daybell and the Chad and the beautiful young lady Tylee Vallow. And I think we can all agree probably that Tylee was probably the intelligent one of that family. I don't think Laurie or her niece, have any particular smarts between them. But, the thing is, with people that aren't intelligent, never underestimate them, because ambition and intention means a lot, and never underestimate them because they are cunning, they're ballsy, and people like that, they can be really dangerous. Black dog down. Now we all know that Tylee seemed pretty protective of her mum, and probably in the way that someone more intelligent, with more a higher IQ and a higher emotional IQ, just lassoing the dog because there's a postie. We saw in the police interview after Charles had made some allegations, bless him, that Tylee was sort of trying to manage her mother, Laurie. And that got me thinking, Tylee's not missing a trick, okay? And Tylee probably said to Mother, Mum, what's with you and Chad? Chad's married. Chad's got a lovely wife called Tammy. I've seen you together. What's going on? Is that when Laurie, or maybe the Chad in Laurie's getting into her head, is that when the zombies manifested in Tylee? Is that about the time frame, do you think? Because, okay, we know that Laurie was reading Chad's books. Laurie was an aficionado of Chad's books. Laurie took on board everything about some of those writings, and she identified very strongly, not only identified, she related as the gatherer. She related to she related to these writings in such a way that they became her life. And Laurie went to meet the Chad at the Preparing the People conferences, and thereafter was writing to Chad and Tammy, pretending to be Charles, so that Tammy isn't going to be suspicious about a predatory woman approaching her husband. She was writing to the Chad after that meeting, inviting him to stay and things like that. So since before 2018, and then definitely from 2018 when they met, boom, this whole thing is blown up in Laurie's mind. Chad's feeding it, they're feeding each other. They started an affair, and maybe Tylee didn't know at first. I mean, Mom's still married to Charles, right? But after Charles has been allegedly murdered, by Alex, allegedly. And they've moved to Rexburg so that Chad and and Laurie can be together. Would have been a little bit more difficult to hide something like that from a smart girl like Tylee, from a decent girl like Tylee. I mean, Tylee's, by all accounts, she's a family orientated girl. She cares about her family. She keeps connections with her family, with her brothers, with people from her, the past that they're not living with any longer. She has long-lasting friendships with peers that she would have holidays with. We know that Laurie took Tylee and one of her friends to Hawaii for a period of time, I think in the last year before Tylee's disappearance. And but Tylee was a bright girl. I think she had emotional intelligence, and I think not above and beyond smarts. And I think we should consider that when Tylee has called Laurie out on her affair with Chad, because let's not forget too, not everyone in this cult might share the delusions. They could just have a private faith and a private set of values. And even though Tylee has had to grow up with Laurie, jumping from husband to husband and things like that, I mean, it doesn't mean that she doesn't understand family values. And she would have seen the Chad as a leader in the church and a family man, married to Tammy for 30 years with 5 children that they had brought up together. And, I think she's quite capable of calling Laurie out, and I think she held Laurie accountable on a regular basis for things. Oh, can't see up my skirt, can you? And I think that's why Laurie started seeing Tylee as someone who has been taken over by a zombie. And I mean, just devastating. Laurie should never get out on bail. The cops need to hold her there on whatever they can for whatever reason until they feel that they've got enough to take her to court for murder. So here comes the postie. I'm going to grab my dog, and I'll speak to you later.